Hello and welcome to another Supreme Commander cast where I get to criticize the skill and play of players who are much better than myself and having a lot of fun doing so. Today we've got two really good players going at each other, Traptor and JaggedAppliance. Traptor is ranked 15 and JaggedAppliance is ranked 25, so they're really closely matched and we should really be in for a good game here as well, considering that this game goes on for about 40 minutes. So there should be some very serious fireworks going on. Just having a look at the build orders again, the standard 4 mexes first and then going for the hydrocarbon, which works and you won't power store like that. I've seen some players try and do a power generator before the hydrocarbon, but I think that's only necessary if you're going for an aggressive second air, but at the same time not necessary. We can have a look at the power as the build orders progress. And yeah, JaggedAppliance doing exactly the same build order, going for the hydrocarbon first, then some power plants, and then going for second air factory. And the second air factory is quite important because if you can get a bomber out first and hit a few of your enemy's engineers, that already gives you a very early advantage. So we should see some aggressive airplay from both players, I think. It will be interesting to see in what order they build their aircraft. They might go for scout first or interceptor first or the other way around. But I'd be very surprised if we don't see some bombers in the mix somewhere. As far as this map goes, there are concentrations of mexes for each player on the sides of the map. So there's a very strong meta involved where we should expect each player to send their ACUs respectively to secure the mexes. And there's also some wreckage which has some value over here, which they'll also both want to secure. Other than that, we should also expect to see a fair bit of raiding with T1 tanks, just trying to raid the outer mexes and also again to try and secure an advantage. Traptor being quite aggressive with the Stalker coming out, although it's quite a long walk, so these guys will take some time to pay back the investment that has been invested in them. This is an interceptor, so we've got an interceptor first for JaggedAppliance, and we've got a bomber first for Traptor. So Traptor definitely been more aggressive with Striker out first and the bomber and then the scout, while JaggedAppliance is playing a bit more conservatively with his Aurora coming out a little bit later and not going a bomber first. This could end badly for Traptor as this interceptor, if it finds the bomber, that'd be quite good. And the bomber's lost its eyes, not being able to find any targets, so it's not looking fantastic. The early start for Traptor, although he's still maintaining a nice economy lead for the moment. Both commanders are moving it towards the mass as expected. And here comes the bomber for JaggedAppliance, so that's quite nice. So both players are going for an aggressive T1 air play. We're going to have to see how effective these things are going to be. The Aurora loses that match. If he wanted to win, he would have needed to have scouted and kited. And that is possible to do, but kiting and dodging. The bomber comes in and it fails to drop its bombs for reasons. I think the terrain might have got in the way there, or didn't have the eyes to initiate the bombing strike in enough time. We've got a feeling JaggedAppliance's bomb, this is going to work. Nope. I think that was an attack ground move. He was trying to predict where the engineer would be, but the engineer stopped. Although it wouldn't have mattered too much even if he had got the engineer, because the commander would have just built the mechs and whatever else needed building. Bomber still failing. The bomber play from both these players has been quite disappointing. No hits. I was hoping to kill the engineer with his crash, but I even failed at doing that. These strikers are not so sure about this aggression coming down here, where Jagged's ACU is almost certain to be. couldn't really imagine that going particularly well. I'd have rather seen these raiding strikers to come down on the right hand side of the map. Maybe try and get around to the back of the base a little bit. But let's assume Traptor knows much better than I do. And I imagine he does. But I'm really not sure why he's grouping strikers up here. What's the purpose of this? They're not going to do anything to the ACU. They're ignoring the strike in the middle of the map. And they could be killing this engineer down here, for example. This is strange to me. Unless he's expected to counter Jagged's attack, which I think is the only reasonable explanation, that they're there to try and counter this attack. But this attack is coming up the middle. Does he know what's going on? He has no idea what's going on, so that probably explains a fair bit. Although he's ahead in the economy, it'll be a bit early for them to go to T2 maxes at this stage in the game, but it's happened before. Going T2 power, that's a quick T2 power. He must have done his sums, and probably he's looking to extract, reclaim these T1 P-gens once this thing comes online. Normally I would expect to see players go a few T2 maxes before going T2 power, but not on this occasion. So Traptor invested more into the economy at this stage, also getting pillars out on the field, while Jagged is still on his T1. And he should get some nice veterancy on his ACU. Get some kills here as they pass by, ignoring the strikers, and then the Auroras pick them up as they come back. Another bomber fail. Come on, bombers. Somehow they didn't go to training camp. Or somehow everyone's really skimping on their bomber pilots. Not being trained at all. Just sit in combat and do your best. Which isn't very good. Maybe we'll see a bomber hit something. It'd be nice. Maybe we shouldn't get our hopes up too much though. Some nice raiding going on. Traptor just eking ahead in the economy a little bit. How many Auroras do you need to take on 2 pillars? I'm sure he has enough here, but going for these 4 mexes here I think is... there's a lot of mexes here, but even with a T1 PD and no artillery, that's really going to cause some damage here on the ACU there. I think it's better off trying to raid on the left hand side of the map. Although there's a PD over here as well, so... Traptor really not allowing himself to be vulnerable anywhere, which is quite nice to see. Maybe if the bomber took out the PD, that could do some work, but this PD is going to do some... is going to absolutely wreck these Auroras. Okay, that's good. I said a total lie. I thought that PD would wreck face, and it didn't. There was a nice bomb strike, and that actually EMP'd the PD for a while, and these Auroras are absolutely dominating. I couldn't have called that more badly if I tried. Some friendly fire there, that's never nice to see, so the bomber failures continue. We've also got the mexes in the left hand side of the corner. They're a little bit more difficult to get because there is a PD there. So you have to drop some bombers, some artillery first to take them out, and then with the transport you can load up, and it's just a little bit of extra additional micro that you need. These Auroras going head to head with ACU, which is never a good idea. Okay, now we get to see exactly how much damage a pillar can do to this many Auroras, and it's a bad fight. He definitely needs to fall back and group up and to charge his Auroras, but then be able to cut an additional range. They were really able to take that mincemeat of that one pillar that got ahead. But Traptor's invested heavily now into his T2 land. And Jag is really shot ahead in his economy at the moment. Has he gone to a T2 max yet? Not yet, still not yet. Or maybe somewhere else on the map. No. Okay, we've got some nice point defenses now for Traptor. Anticipating a TML. They're probably a little bit early. TML launcher at this stage of the game, especially at this part of the map. This is not a small map. Would have been very aggressive play, but I guess you can't get them too early, or you can. You never want to invest in defenses before you need them, because that investment could obviously be into something different and have an actual impact on the game, while these TMDs aren't going to have any impact for quite some time still. But it's not a... It's always better to have them than not have them. If you lost the T2 power, that would have gone very badly. Traptor could definitely be reclaiming some of these P-gens. He doesn't need all of them and to fuel his economy. He has got a T2 max here. I missed that a little bit. And he's upgrading more. JaggedAppliance is... Has he started yet? If he doesn't pick up, he's going to start falling behind, even though he's currently ahead. But Traptor will reclaim these mexes soon, I'm sure. Where's this boy going? Some engineers? Is there anything else in the engineer there? Just... Is he going for this mex here? This is really diligent play. Most players will ignore the micros needed to go for these mexes. That's a bit hard to get to, but not Jagged. He's gonna get them. And that's nice to see. The Auroras can kite the ACU, but they can't kill him. You've got a standoff in the middle. Jagged needs to go T2 at some point. He's gone T2 air, and he's gone T2 land. Okay, so that's good. He's also got his TMDs up, both being quite cautious with respect to any TMLs. If Traptor doesn't go for these mexes up here, there might be a good idea for Jagged to go for them. It'll be a bit cheeky, but if it's a freebie, you might as well take it. So we've progressed past the T1 stage of the game into definite T2. No player is clearly ahead. There's still a lot of aggression and raiding going on. The mass income is fluctuating a little bit. They've both hitting T2 power at least, but Jagged not investing into T2 mexes, rather making sure he's gaining as many T1 mexes across the map. They are of course economically more efficient. But if he doesn't upgrade, he will eventually start falling behind. Traptor is choosing to go for some T2 land flak to guard against the gunships. Choosing not to compete particularly well with interceptors in the air. That's an interesting choice. Or maybe he just needs time to build them, although he's not investing heavily in them. So really he seems to be focusing on T2 flak primarily to protect against these gunships. This gunship needs to GTFO because he's not gonna last long there. But the interceptors are too far away to help. Left high and dry. Interceptors could have saved him. But it's very difficult this game because there's always so much that you need to micro constantly. There's always a pressing decision as to what takes priority. And in this instance, that gunship wasn't the priority. These gunships are actually doing quite well because Traptor is largely relying on T1 PDs to defend against any raiders, but they're not going to do anything to these gunships. So this is a nice way that Jagged is able to put pressure on Traptor's economy. These engineers have been given some poor orders. Oh dear, that's just suicidal. Brave, foolhardy, but brave. One engineer is... He'll have to build a land factory here, and he might do that in order to gain these mexes. But he has to do something, or maybe he's expected that Traptor's already taken clear of these guys, but he hasn't. An overcommitment of T2 land up here for Traptor. These could definitely be down here, where they probably are needed in a standoff. Although he might not commit to this battle until a little bit later. That's interesting. That is interesting to see. It's a little bit late for a T1 gun upgrade, but if his ACU is supported by all these land units, that could be really effective. Especially with overcharge, he can take out large groups of T2 land tanks quite very effectively. And as an Aeon Commander, so his 2 gun upgrades, that could really prove to be an effective move. Jagged has got 63 mass income to Traptor's 33, and that's largely as a result of taking these out of the way mexes. Yes, building the land factory there as I was hoping, and he'll gain those 2. Has he upgraded his T2 mexes yet? He has. He started upgrading T2 mexes. So his Jagged is definitely in a stronger position now. Traptor needs to identify he is behind and how badly he is behind and try and come up with something interesting. I'm not sure what he plans to do here, but considering this game goes on quite for some time still, I'm expecting him to think of something very effective. And I'm excited to see how he's going to stay in this game and how he's going to bridge the income gap that currently now exists. Still in... Yes, okay, he's going T3 land. Some Percies will really do well here. He just has to get them out soon, and maybe that's what happens. Maybe with a few Percies supported by his units, he's just able to raid all the mexes in this area. That, I believe, could work. But Jagged has hit Harbingers before, sooner. But Percies beats Harbingers, that we know for sure. Harbingers are a lot quicker than the Percy. And on a large map there is an advantage, but in a straight up and up fight the Percies have an advantage. These mexes should become online for Traptor soon, and that should be denied for Jagged soon as well. So that would definitely be able to level the economic playing field. But it's looking pretty bad. This can't continue for too long. That's cheeky. Landing a pillar here after letting Jagged kill the PD and then bringing in your own pillar. And an engineer to actually take advantage. So let your opponent do the work and reap the rewards. Okay, so Jagged's upgrades have completed for his ACU. It would be nice for him to move him and take advantage of that. You've got some work to do. He's definitely just, you know, taking it a bit chill for a while. That might cost him. Didn't pay enough attention here, but that pillar got destroyed, presumably by this PD. A bit of a standoff. We've got some Harbingers on the map. T2 mexes here, and air station facility. Normally, players don't usually worry about these things too much. Refueling and repairing aircraft. Aircraft tend not to survive enough to get damaged in order to be worth being repaired. Is there a Percy yet? Or will this be the first Percy? Let's have a look at the stockpiles. Okay, Traptor's got quite a lot of resources stockpiled. Definitely wants to increase his production of something. Get that resources invested into an economy or into Percies. Build quicker, build faster. Jagged Appliance also has a lot of resources stocked up. So that's not nice. You want to see those resources invested. That's a bad place for Harbinger to be. There should be an overcharge. Hopefully Traptor will build an energy storage so he can overcharge soon. But at the moment his ACU will be able to... But it's going to take a lot of hit points off the ACU. I don't know if this is worth it at all. Let's see if he's going to build an energy storage. He has. He's built the energy storage. I imagine that just was built right now, just so he can overcharge. He's probably waiting for the energy storage to fill up. He should build... Oh dear, this is... Come on, you're going to have to overcharge here right now if you're going to survive this. There it is. That is 300 hit points. Oh my goodness. That's dangerous. So now he'll want to definitely bring the T2 flag to his ACU right this instant, because there'll be gunships and bombers coming towards him post haste. Godspeed, and all these units coming in to take the kill as well. 87 hit points! Oh, what Jagged would give for a little fleet of bombers that could end this game right here and now. But he doesn't have them. He's got resources in the bank which could be bombers, but... mistakes were made. Mistakes were most certainly made. Traptor probably could have been a bit sooner with his energy storage. If Jagged just had more aggressive air units. He's got 2 T3 land factories, so he's doubling down on Harbinger production. This is, I don't like this. This ACU I feel needs to be in a much safer position. I'd move him up to the center here, put him under a shield. Do something, but I wouldn't leave him out in the field so vulnerable like this. How many Percies does he have now? We've got 4 Percivals versus how many Harbingers? 4, so it's even Stevens. But the Percies have a strong advantage. Oh, observer mode is what I want looking for. The economy gap is closing a little bit. But Traptor is still behind. He's got some work to do. He's going to have to take some very cost-efficient trades to come back into this game. Fighting for these top 3 mexes up here. We've got a Percival that has barely survived. Can these Reapers take on the Harbinger? I'm not sure. I don't think so. This Percival needs to run. Oh, this is brave. Maybe this is too brave. I'd be too scared to be doing this. But he wants to overcharge the Harbinger. The Percival here went down. He definitely wants to group up his Percivals and try and kite the army here as best as he can. This Harbinger... oh jeez. Come on, kite, Percival. Don't get in too close. Is he reclaiming with the Harbingers? You don't often see that. I think the Percival will attack around the wreckage. Always a good idea to deny as many resources as you can to your opponent. He's got 2 Percivals. They're able to kite and do damage here, but he needs more. This amount of AR nonsense can definitely overrun, maybe? Definitely maybe. But if these units get hold of this ACU, I don't like this at all. This ACU is much too vulnerable in my opinion. Should definitely be brought back to the base, or I don't like his position there at all. There's a few Harbingers. If they just happen to run up over here, there's not much that Traptor could do to prevent an attack like that. It might also be very tempting to quickly go to T3 air and try and snipe with 1 or 2 strap bombers. That could also possibly work. He tried to upgrade to T2 before, but he cancelled that because there's a Harbinger running around. It looks like he's trying to go to the T2 upgrade again. I wonder if that's a lot to do with, again, the hit point buff related to that upgrade, or if he actually wants T2 engineering build capacity over here. Traptor has been really good about having just a little bit of flak with all his striking units. And this is going to completely nullify this air attack. It's really difficult to micro 3 or 4 combat groups simultaneously, making sure they have the appropriate flak they need to have good mixtures of units. But that 1 T2 flak went down, but this other flak is in the mix. We've got 4 Percivals here kiting, and these will do some really good work. This is enough now, because they can just run, charge into range, kill a few things, and kite back. Jagged is appreciating this, and he's just GTFOing. Okay, Traptor's got the T2 upgrade. I want to see if he's actually going to use it. These engineers are now repairing the ACU, continuing on from the upgrade. It's not using that yet. Bombers, bombing the Percivals. That's going to take a while. if it survives. Some intercepted battles. Okay, but what happens next? The player's going to upgrade to T3 Mexes yet? You've got more power generation coming down. Looks like Jagged is doubling down some more onto Harbingers. Traptor is... what is he doing? He's... is that T3 anti-air? Yes, I think it is. I would like to see Traptor. I'm not quite sure what I want to see from Traptor actually. You could go for an economy or an aggressive push. I think both are okay choices. Jagged's definitely in the lead, but he's doubling down on the Harbingers. But he needs more. He's done some good work with this airplay, but Traptor's really done well to limit the capacity that it can do at all. If you wanted to, you could easily deny these mexes over here and here. But the gunships are now without escort, and these interceptors should take care of these guys in some time. Got a standoff here. These Percivals with a range advantage might be able to do some good work, but the way Aeon wins this fight is if it charges, but there's just a slew of Percivals coming up now, and I think that wins. I think the amount of Percivals wins against these Harbingers. But without player really achieving much of a result with the aggressive move, I think the winning move here would be to invest in their economy. But let's see how well these Percivals do. Traptor is kiting. That's Harbingers. That Percival's taking some damage. It's going to go down. It might be nice to have a few T1 tanks here just to draw the heavy hits from the T3 land. As Jagged is doing, he has some Auroras here, and they can eat the shots from the Percivals, which you don't want landing on your Harbingers. But they can eat the shots, and then that gives you an advantage just by being... It's hard to call an Aurora a meat shield, but sacrificial meat shield? They eat shots. They get... It's a type of shield, isn't it? One hit kill, one hit die. As a naughty Harbinger. Cheeky. You probably want to... Oh, he knows he's going to die, so what's the point in shooting? Might as well reclaim. This is nice, even though there's a stack of units conglomerating in the center. We've still got Harbingers, Radiant, harassing in the back. Jagged appreciating that his Harbingers are a put match up against the Percivals. He's brought in some artillery to make sure that he can deal damage to the kiting Percivals. I really like that. I think that's a nice play. He just needs to make sure that he can't get overrun by the Percivals, and this artillery will start to pay dividends. He might want more than one. But Traptor is falling further and further behind in his economy. He needs to make a play with these Percivals. He needs to get some work done, or I fear for his chances in this game. Both players here really being cautious here. Traptor just trying to kite and do as much damage as possible. JaggedAppliance giving ground, trying not to lose his Harbingers, and trying to get his artillery into a position where it can do work and try and do as much damage as it can. I don't think that damaged anything. It's a brave position for the commander to be upgrading. We've got the gun upgrade for the UEF ACU, which I can only imagine is so he can use it to overcharge cheeky Harbingers. I wonder if players are... Traptor I don't think would be, but Jagged might start considering getting an experimental. He's got the economy for it, and he needs something to spend his resources on. I don't think... Unless he really invests in Harbingers, he's going to need a lot more. Power stall, I wonder where his power is going. that he needs to worry about his power. Okay, so we've got T3 mexes up in the corner. Jagged feeling that these mexes are much more secure than the mexes even in his own base. And he's probably correct. These are perhaps in a much more secure position. Traptor has done absolutely nothing to try and raid and limit the mexes down here. So that's given him had an advantage where he feels that he has mexes he can safely upgrade to T3, which aren't at any risk of losing or dying. And with Jagged down with the economy of Traptor, I worry. I hope this isn't a complete walkover. That I fear it might be. I think we're just going to have to wait and see to what Jagged is going to invest his economy in to try and end this game. The longer this income differential exists, the greater advantage Jagged is going to acquire. But Traptor has had access to the reclaim field from all the wrecks. That will help even the economy differential, but I don't know if this will be enough. If the Percies knew this ACU was here, if they knew, this might play out a little bit differently. What's happened to Jagged's economy? I think he must be power stalling. It was down to half, but now it's back up to very high values. We've got the shield upgrade for the ACU, so this guy is definitely going to go into some combat. He's got the upgrades. Brave going against Percival's with his ACU. 3 T3 artillery. Don't know how much work they're doing. 2 kills, 5 kills, they getting hits in. Don't know what they're killing though. Spearheads are firing. So that's Traptor's counter to the T3 siege artillery. It's been a long time since I've seen an engagement like this with T3 bots with T3 artillery trying to maneuver against each other, trying to gain an advantage. I feel like the experimental would really do well here, whether it's a Fat Boy or a Galactic Colossus. We get some T2 transport, so I think we should expect an aggressive drop of some form. Maybe on the back of Traptor's main base or over his power. This will probably be the most sensible spot to drop a bunch of Percivals where they can do the most damage. And as JaggedAppliance, he doesn't know his powers or positioned here. I think he could have definitely have done a better job scouting his enemy's base, or maybe he will scout now before he anticipates doing the drop. Not sure what that chat's about. Those spearheads seem to be doing some good work. Well, not specifically those ones, but overall. Maybe it was this drop that was being referred to. Or this walk-in. This will be able to destroy some T2 mexes. If they're able to... Harbingers... Oh no, I think this Harbingers will be enough to parry that blow. Jagged, where is your economy going? Are you just content to... Got another T3 land factory? It's just content to stay in T3 land? Although there was so much mass in the bank. I'm disappointed that he hasn't spent it on something. Whereas Traptor's all in with his economy, he needs to be with this advantage he has. But if you could imagine that those resources were Harbingers or Nexus or anything else really that could give an advantage, you could probably quite easily force out a win at this stage of the game even. Traptor choosing to upgrade to T3 mexes now. He needs to do something, so that's, yeah, he's investing more in his economy. Still behind, but for the most part Traptor has had control of the reclaim fields, so that would have helped even the income differential. This amount of Percies is just very scary. This is Galactic Colossus killing amount of Percies. And they could run roughshod over this army, and it appears that that is what they intend to do. And then there'll be more reclaim to be had. So it looks like Jagged has just been content with dropping the random Harbinger to cause some damage rather than a mass Harbinger drop. I think I would have preferred to see the mass Harbinger drop, but you never want to see that happen. Although that's perhaps the ideal place for a Harbinger to be. You need more than one, because the Percival's coming out of the factory would easily be able to handle a single Harbinger. Where are these units retreating to? I kind of feel that it would have been more reasonable for them to retreat in this direction to the main base rather than away from the main base, leaving the main base vulnerable for the Percivals to come down this side. Harbingers aren't amphibious, so they can't cross this little pond. And for the first time we see Traptor ahead in the economy game. I feel that what's really saved him in this game is the way that Percivals are so much stronger than Harbingers, really take advantage of that fact, leaving Jagged with not that much of an effective option to deal with the Percivals. Jagged not really been able to invest his economy into something that could really achieve a result. Started building the Galactic Colossus, realizing he doesn't have the energy to to support that kind of production, so quickly putting this thing up before returning production to the Galactic Colossus. And he'll want to get that up as quickly as possible before these Percivals think better of what they're doing and start being more aggressive. With the Percivals clumped up so much, the siege artillery will have more effect. Aggressive position for the ACU, but he does have quite a lot of upgrades. Percivals, oh, we got a charge here. That's a nice move. Get some radar. Things are starting to happen now. I'm not sure if Traptor's all in here. He doesn't have to win this fight. He could withdraw maybe. Or is he gonna go all in? Does he feel he needs to go all in? Either which way, he's gonna pick up some easy kills here with his commander. Oh, that's gonna hurt. But these siege artillery left in a vulnerable situation. It's interesting how this force here is away from the main base. So Traptor not feeling confident enough to charge into the main base and trying to parry or engage this force here, but this force has just been given ground kiting. Seems to have been an effective move. This move with the gunships is premature, just losing them for no result. And all the while with this frantic battle is going on, we've got units on the other side of the map constantly raiding, and that is just a very good indication that we've got a high skilled game coming at us. The Galactic Colossus is nearly done, and I don't know if Traptor is going to be able to survive the Galactic Colossus behind all of these T3 assault bots, and I suspect that might end the game when that comes onto the field and is able to flex his muscles and try and cause some damage. It is a big map, so it's got some walking to do. Traptor's had this force of Percival's, but they haven't been able to achieve a result. I criticized the move here, that Jagged moved his Harbingers to the left hand side of the map initially, thinking that they were going to leave his main base vulnerable, but they seem to have really been able to have occupied Traptor's assault force here, and really bought a lot of time, so it turns out to have been a really good move. Almost like having a force behind your enemy's main attack force, being able to engage and harry one supply lines. Traptor not happy about that, so choosing to engage it rather than going for the jugular. The Galactic Colossus is on the field, and I suspect he's going to... I actually have no idea what he's going to do. He's probably going to move up here to engage these forces, but if they don't give fight, he'll probably have to have a long walk towards the main base. Traptor's finally got Jagged's army here trapped up into the corner, gonna get some nice overcharges in, but his Percivals are too far behind. But they're coming in, and I feel this army is going to die one way or another. He's using his commander as a meat shield. Not the worst idea, assuming it survives. But it's GG. Traptor feels that he was in such a desperate situation. I don't even know if he even saw the Galactic Colossus. He could have won this fight if he kept his AC a little bit further behind. Maybe take a few shots as a meat shield. But all in all, I think he had lost this game by this point. I don't think there was any reasonable out for him. He was too far behind on the economy. His investment into his military force yet wasn't able to pay dividends, leaving JaggedAppliance to be able to eco hard and finally get an experimental bot which wasn't able to fire its shots in anger. And the experimental bot named quite nicely Great Justice. I'm not quite sure why the E is in parentheses, but there it is. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to administer any justice, so I killed one unit. Goodness knows what that was, but not important. The main features of this game: JaggedAppliance was much better at acquiring mexes on the outskirts of the map. You invest in the micro to build mexes in these awkward locations, and grabbing his location, even contending for Traptor's location up here. He had some reasonable airplay, I would say. Both players failed badly with their T1 bombers, not getting hits, getting messed up by terrain, getting killed by fighters, just not having much of an effect on the game at all. Traptor was quite far behind in most of the game, but the imbalance between the Percival and the Harbinger allowed Traptor to stay in the game for much longer than he would otherwise reasonably be able to have done. All in all, this was a very good fight. It was a nice fight to see how the T3 forces engaged and parried with each other on the center of the part of the map, how they reclaimed and trying to make sure that they got hold of the reclaim fields. And it's been a long time since I've seen T3 artillery engaged with spearheads. That was an interesting engagement to see. And I hope to see you guys join me for the next cast. And with that, I bid you good night.